Okay, good morning to everyone. The next topic that we are going to discuss today is the etching. So, after performing the lithography, the next step that need to be performed is etching. So, etching basically here is the removal of selective portion of the uh, materials available on the semiconductor surface. So, after performing lithography, there are need to remove some waste materials available on the silicon surface. Uh, On that, the selective removal of the materials like waste material is considered as the etching process. So we will see here different type of etching. So basically, in the introduction part in the previous classes we have already seen there are basically two type of etching. One is wet etching, another one is dry etching. So as the name suggests, it is wet etching. That means it is the etching process in which some chemical reactions will be taking place. Okay, so this wet etching is also called as chemical etching. The next that is dry etching. So in dry etching, basically we will be using gases, and these gases will be having high energy. So in these gases, high energy ions will be used for etching. That is etching done by, you can say, the physical removal of, or you call it physical etching. So by using these gases in that gaseous environment, the high energy ions will basically remove the waste materials, and this is done by using that is similar to physically removing a particular selected portion of the substrate. So that is considered as dry etching. So there are some advantages and disadvantages of these two type of etching. Okay, so the first we will be moving with the chemical etching or the wet etching. Okay, so in this etching there are some steps that need to be followed in terms of chemical etching. So here some steps that we need to follow. The first step is whenever we are going to perform etching, in case of chemical etching, there is some etchant. Some etchant is there, that is the material or the species that is going to remove the waste materials or the waste layers are there on the semiconductor surface. So selective removal will be done by using some chemical or etchant, or we can call it a species that can have the removal property for the waste materials. So that removal by using etchant will be taking place only when that etchant is able to reach to the semiconductor surface or the surface where the waste materials are there. Okay, so the first step is transport of etchant. So whatever etching species are there, etchant are here, it is etching species. This etching species are basically the chemical that we will be using. Okay, so first of all, we will be transporting the etchant to the surface where the etching need to be performed. Once the etchant has reached to the surface, there will be some reactions taking place. As it is chemical etching, so there will be some chemical reactions will be taking place. So at the surface, some surface reactions will be taking place. That is the second step. In the third step, after performing or after this chemical reaction is going to perform, so after this chemical reaction, there will be some products of this chemical reaction. So we need to remove that products formed after chemical reactions. So the next step is transport of transport of reaction products.
कौन सा टेस्ट होने वाला, क्या टेस्ट होने को देखो.
Okay, so first of all, we will be introducing a etchant, and that etchant will be taking some chemical reactions at the surface, and after taking some chemical reactions, there will be some product, and that product need to be removed from the surface. So this is the three steps that need to be followed in case of chemical or wet etching. Okay, so we will see that these three steps in some more detail. So here, this etching process that need to be performed is basically dominated by uh, like how fast we are able to uh, transport the etchant to the semiconductor surface where the etching need to be performed. Okay, so this etching process here, this etching process uh, may be dominated by like how fast we are able to supply the etchant, and this etchant is going to pass through the layers of the membrane where this removal need to be performed. So suppose this is the surface, this is the semiconductor surface, and here this is the oxide. This is the mask area, and this is the open area. Okay, so here we have introduced the etchant. So suppose this is SiO2 layer. So etchant is for removal of SiO2 layer. So this etchant will be first reacting with this layer. Okay, so this will be reacting with this layer, the first layer. That first layer is considered as the stagnant layer. We can call this first layer as stagnant layer, that is not moving, stable layer we can call it. So this etchant will be reacting with the stagnant layer. Okay, so after removing reacting with the stagnant layer, there will be some chemical reactions will be taking place, and after the chemical reaction there will be some product formed. So this product need to be removed, or if it is not removed, this etchant is available at this, and after reacting with the layer, the SiO2 layer at the top, this, you can say, strength of this etchant will be reduced, but etchant available at this region is having high power. You can say like it is having high concentration. So these high concentration etchant need to be move to the next layer. So suppose this is after removing that part, this is the next layer need to be reacted. So this etchant, however, the etchant should be moving to this next layer of SiO2 so that further etching can be done. Okay, so this is basically governed by the diffusion. Okay, so there is the process of diffusion between this stagnant layer. This etchant will be diffusing through stagnant layer to reach the deeper into this SiO2 layer so that the further etching can be done. Further etching can be done. Okay, so here the etching process basically can be dominated by uh, like how fast the etchant, how fast the etchant, how fast the etchant is diffusing through. Okay, so the the etching process will be basically governed by like how fast this etchant available at the uh, in the chemical, this complete chemical, this substrate is emerged. Okay, so the etchant is all over the substrate, but it is not able to reach the deeper uh, layer of this SiO2. So how fast this etchant is going to diffuse to reach this I can say deeper part of deeper layer of this SiO2, that will govern basically the etching process. Okay, here. So for that, uh, if the etching is etching reaction is going to perform such that it is removing some gases. So some suppose a chemical reaction is going to take place while performing the etching, and in that chemical reaction it is going to release some gas. Okay, so some uh, if this chemical reaction, or we call it here etching, etching is performed such that in if this chemical reaction or etching is releasing gas as a product. Okay, if it is removing a gas as the product, then uh, there is no need of diffusion. If it is removing it is producing a gas after reacting with the chemical reaction taking place, then that gas will be removed. Then so always there will be layer available to react. Okay, so in that case, if gas is the byproduct of this, the related with the diffusion. There is this reaction etching is directly related with the diffusion. In that case, diffusion is not going to govern etching process. Okay, so if this is released, and then it will be removed. Removed and process this etching process will uh, directly here and here each process the etchant basically etchant will directly reach the stagnant. Okay, so if the byproduct is gas, then the etchant will directly reach to the stagnant layer. There will be no need of diffusion. if there is a stagnant layer and if the chemical reaction that is going to take place is forming a stagnant layer of reaction product. In that case, if it is going to form a stagnant layer that need to be removed or that is deposited there, then the etching will be basically depending on the diffusion rate. In that case, it is forming a stagnant layer of reaction product. So in this, the etching will be diffusion rate dependent. Okay, so if it is having after reaction, it is having stagnant layer, then your etching will be dependent on diffusion rate. So how fast this etchant is going to diffuse to the NiO2 air, that will be defining your etching process. So your etching can be defined in terms of two parameters. So etching here can be like isotropic or anisotropic. Okay, so isotropic means it will be equal in all the direction. That is, we can call it. It will be uniform. So in case of chemical etching, this etching process that is defined is uniform. It is not an isotropic. So uniform means. So what does it mean? We will see that. So suppose this is the surface. This is the mass. And this is your oxide region. That need to be oxidized. So whenever a etchant is introduced here, it will not directly reacting or etching in only the downward direction. It will go downward. Along with that, it will go the side wall also. It will not be this is vertically straight. Once it is going to vertically straight, there will be a space here. So this will also be a surface that will be etching out, which will be etched out. So here the etching will be performed like it will go inside and perform etching like that. So, into the side wall also. Okay, so this is the process called isotropic. So isotropic means this chemical will not understand whether it is vertical wall or a side wall. Once it is going to find the SiO2 layer, this is SiO2. So whenever it is going to find an SiO2 layer, it will react with SiO2 layer and remove that part, and etching will be performed. This is isotropic. Okay, so this chemical type of etching or wet type of etching is of the nature isotropic. So this is one of the, you can say this part, this chemical etching, like instead of downward, it goes side wall also. So it creates okay. So it's the case of chemical etching. The next point that we see is, so basically here to here first of all whenever we are performing etching, so suppose first layer is being aged, when this after aging the chemical reaction is going to take place, so the product that is obtained, okay, so that the further etching can be done. Okay, so when the product is available here, chain cannot cross to this product and going to the next layer for etching. So there is a continuous removal of uh, the byproducts that is available after the reaction. So basically, to let the etching, to let the etching continue, to let the etching continue, the reaction products must be removed by the process called stirring. So stirring is the process through which, or we can call it stir. Stir is the uh, we can say process in which either stir or we call it stirring. We do to remove. So we will be stirring to remove the waste or the product that is available after the chemical reaction. Okay. So in so what is the advantage of this stirring? Basically, uh, in wet etching, what is the advantage of stirring? So stirring is needed in case of wet etching. So the advantage is like it basically facilitates, this will facilitates further etching. That means to continue the etching further, we have to remove the products formed after chemical reactions. So once we are stirring that product that is undesired, that will be facilitating the further etching process. Also, it will remove the reaction product in other terms we can call it, it provides space for etching, space for you can say further etching. Okay. So when we remove by using stirring the products, is for further next layer to be aged. So we will be provided for further aging. So that removal of waste or removal of the products formed after reaction is called stirring. Okay. So here some more points that we need to see is, here we have seen teaching process in wet teaching. Wet etching is considered as isotropic. That means uniform in all directions. Okay. But in wet etching, it can be an isotropic if the etching process is dominated by the reaction rate. So that means like reaction, the diffusion rate is going to dominate the process. So chemical reaction in a stagnant layer of a reaction product will be diffusion rate dependent. So here diffusion rate dependent where that an isotropic reaction, isotropic etching. Etching instead of uh, diffusion, if etching is dependent on reaction rate, if it is dependent on reaction rate, then it will be considered as anisotropic. And if it is isotropic, that is uniform in all the direction, if the etching is going to be dominated by diffusion. So if etching is going to diffuse dependent or dependent on diffusion rate, then that will be an isotropic. Here, diffusion rate will be dominating. Okay. And one more general point is there. If any crystal is there, that crystal is either isotropic. That crystal is either crystalline or amorphous. The etching process that will be done on that crystalline or amorphous type of crystal, the etching process will always be an isotropic or uniform type of will be taking place. If the is crystal is either crystalline, in both the cases, the type of etching will be isotropic or call it uniform. Uniform in all the axes. Okay. So here, in case of wet etching, we will see the example of silicon. So basically, we will see silicon etching using wet or so there are two different steps that is performed while a silicon by using a chemical etching method. So first one is the silicon we need to etch. So first of all, we will be making the silicon oxide. Silicon dioxide we will make. Then silicon dioxide will be removed, and that silicon dioxide will be removing the silicon also. So the first step is we will be performing oxidation, and in oxidation, silicon will react with oxygen and form Si. Okay. In step two, now we will be etching to remove. We will be etching to remove SiO2. Okay. So first of all, we will be forming SiO2, and then this SiO2 will be removed by using the etching process. Okay. So there are some chemical reactions that takes while removing the silicon. So here, first is we are having a silicon. In that, it will react with holes. H plus positive ions. It will react with holes and it will form Si2 plus. This reaction is called anodic reaction. Okay, so this reaction is called anodic reaction. So another one is H2O is there. that will break into two H plus ions plus two OH negative ions. This is called reaction. This anodic or anode reaction. Okay. So from here, Si plus 2OH minus will form SiOH twice, and now this SiOH twice take to form SiO2 plus H2. So here, this is how the SiO2 is formed. So the SiO2 is formed. Now we need to use some agent that can remove this. Okay, so we have gone through this SiO2 formation. So generally, the common silicon agent. So common silicon is called HNA. Okay, so HNA common silicon agent that is used. So H stands for HF, that is hydrofluoric. HF. N stands for HNO3, that is nitric acid, and A stands for CH3COH, acetic acid. So these are the common silicon agent. So this frequently used in case of removing the silicon. Here SiO2, so that SiO2 will be removed either the three each reaction. That how the reaction is, if we are going to use hydrogen, HF will SiO, and it will form H2. Will be dissolved. It will dissolve and steered for remove. This will be this will be stirred, and by stirring we can remove this Si silicon here. So HF is reacting with SiO2, will be forming this chemical reaction, and this product, and this dissolved product will be removed by using stirring method. Okay, so this is the case when we are using hydrofluoric acid. The next one is using 3. Okay. So in case of HNO3, if we are using HNO3 for removing the silicon, there are some set of chemical reactions that takes place. So the first is HNO2 is supplied first, and it will be react with HNO3. HNO2 will be supplied separately, and it will be reacting with HNO3, and it will form N2O4 plus H2O. Okay. This N2O4 will break into to form NO2, and this 2NO2 will react to form Na2 minus plus 2H plus. Okay. So whenever we are going to form, going to have an etching by using chemical etching, we need to perform the anodic and cathodic reaction. Or anode or cathode reactions will be taking place, and we will be having full will be released, and that holes will be reacting to form the further chemical. So here, this is your inward reaction, and this 2H2O will break to form 2H plus 2OH minus. Okay, and further reactions will be taking similar to the above, and here basically SiO2 will be generated. So some reactions will be taking place to generate SiO2. So SiO2 will be reacting. This is the anodic reaction. This is cathodic reaction, and then forming the SiO2 will be formed. So once we have formed the SiO2, now we will be removing the SiO2. So here NO2 will be removed. Will be reacting with H plus. NO2 will be reacting with H plus, and it will be forming HNO2. So here initially we have introduced HNO2 separately, and also throughout this reaction HNO2 is formed as byproduct. So, okay, so this is basically like HNO2 that we have introduced initially, that is not consumed, it is formed by the chemical reaction itself. So it is not consumed. So it is not consumed, it is formed by the chemical reaction itself. So that's why it is this is called auto autocatalytic reaction. So it is working as a catalyst, and it is not going to consume, it is formed itself. So whatever uh, HNO2 we have introduced initially, that is formed by itself. It is not being consumed. So it will keep on, you can say, creating the reactions, making the reactions run. And one more point is like, if HNO2 is, we are limiting this HNO2, that will limit the complete reaction of etching process. So this reaction is called rate limiting reaction. So what would be the rate of etching that will be governed by this HNO2 concentration and HNO2 reaction with HNO3. So this reaction is considered rate limiting reaction. One more type of etchant is there, that is called buffered HF with NH4F. This NH4F is this hydrochloric acid, and this NH4F is considered as, this is ammonium. This ammonium fluoride. So when we are mixing the HF with ammonium fluoride, these two mixtures are basically going to have a better etchant than individually HF or uh, nitric acid or acetic acid. So we are going to use either of the three etchants separately, or we can have HF, the mixture of HF with ammonium fluoride. That will be a better, you can say, etchant for SiO2 removal. Okay, so here usually the mixture of HF and NH4F is used as common etchant for SiO2. Okay, so we can call it, so it is buffered HF with ammonium fluoride. So this is one of the agent most commonly used in case of SiO2. So this is all about the wet type of uh, so one more point we will see in that. So the disadvantage. So the disadvantage. In that case, we have seen what is the disadvantage. The disadvantage was it is an isotropic. So the disadvantage is it is isotropic. It is going. It is this etching is moving with same pace in all the directions. That means it is not direction oriented. It is going to react in all possible directions. So it is going to remove the unwanted regions also. So these are not the desired region. So it has removed extra regions. Okay. So suppose if we are going to have the reaction, okay. So suppose this is 1 micrometer length and this is 1 micrometer length. When each end will be introduced, this will remove in all possible directions. So if it is moving 1 micrometer in vertical direction, it will be moving 1 micrometer in horizontal direction also. So this will be the removed part. So here, if this one is 1 micrometer, this distance will also be 1 micrometer, and here this distance will also be 1 micrometer. So instead of only 1 micrometer etching, it has etched total 3 micrometer. So this is one of the disadvantages of this chemical type of etching. So here we can call it. It is the disadvantage is it is isotropic, or we can call it it is less and isotropic. Okay, so it is of isotropic nature. This isotropic nature is one of the disadvantage of chemical type of etching. Also, here we are going to use chemicals, so that chemicals will be an acidic in nature, so that can cause uh, problems in disposable. So disposing these chemicals will be a problem. So first of all, acid, or we can call it the chemical disposal, should be taken care of. Okay, so that is one of the uh, disadvantage. Okay, another is like if it is acid, it will be corrosive in nature, so that can damage the substrate. That is in case of chemical type, chemical type of etching process. But one of the advantage, so if we talk about the advantage, is like, as it is having a chemical type of etching, it will be having high selectivity. It will be having high selectivity. That means it will react only with the selected materials only. It will react with selected materials or layers of the semiconductor surface. So it will be reacting with only selected layer or surfaces of the semiconductor surface. Okay, so that will be of highly selective in nature. Okay, so this is all about the weight type of etching. So one parameter. So here basically we have seen two terms, that is isotropic or anisotropic, and another one is selectivity. Here two terms that defines the figure of merit of etching is, the first one is anisotropic nature, the second one is selectivity. Okay, so these two are the parameters that define the figure of merit of the etching process. So anisotropic means it is going in only one direction. So anisotropic, it is going in only one direction. So that is defined by the term 1 minus dH by dV. That means what is movement in horizontal direction and what is the movement in vertical direction, 1 minus dH by dV. So if horizontal movement is 0, that means there is no horizontal movement. So like here, if there is no horizontal movement, okay, so this horizontal movement is 0, then the anisotropy will be 1. Okay, so that will be ideal case, you can say. So here the horizontal movement we should be removing. So in case of chemical type of reactions, chemical type of etching, this horizontal movement is high, so that's why it is not an isotropic, it is less anisotropic, it is isotropic in nature. So if the etching process is in isotropic in nature, that will be a better. Also the selectivity. So in case of chemical type of reactions, chemical type of etching, this selectivity is very high. But in other cases, selectivity will be depending on, basically like, if only one material need to be etched, then that is going to be etched by the etch and not other material is going to be etched. So basically, the selectivity says only one material should be etched. Leaving other materials as it is. Okay. And in case of anisotropy, it says etching only in one direction. If etching is done in only in one direction, that will be an isotropic type of etching. Okay. So these two are the figure of merits of uh, etching process. So figure of merit in case of wet type of etching is an anisotropic nature is very less anisotropic, but it is having high selectivity in case of chemical or wet type of etching. The next type of etching that we will be dealing with is dry etching. So this dry etching is also called as plasma etching. Okay. So what advantage we will see that what are the advantage of uh, dry. So here is dry etching, or we call it plasma etching. So this plasma is basically this plasma is considered as partially ionized gas. Okay, it is a partially ionized gas with equal amount of positive and negative charge. This plasma is a ionized gas that is not a chemical here. Basically, in case of dry etching, we are using gas. So in gas, that gas will be an ionized, partially ionized gas will be there. In that, some positive charge and some negative charge will be there. Okay, so this positive charge okay. So here some positive and some negative charge will be there. So this positive charge will be in the form of ions, and this negative charge will be in the form of electrons. So electrons will be here, that is constituting the negative charge, and ions will be there. So this ions will be by using of, you say, uh, materials are etchant basically. So based on the etchant, there will be some ions. So ions of the gaseous atoms will be there. So ions will be there and electrons will be there. So these electrons that are having uh, lower, you can say, mass, which is having lower mass, so it requires high energy, or we can call it, it requires basically high temperature. It requires high temperature, or we call it high energy, and the temperature that is required by these are around 100 degree Kelvin. But in case of ions, these are the ions that are heavier in mass, and so it has less energy, and also it has less temperature. So the temperature is around 100 degree Kelvin in case of ions. So ions can heat up to 100 degree Kelvin, but the electrons can have around 1000 degree Kelvin of temperature. So this is the plasma basically that we will be using in case of dry etching. So the advantage here is, instead of chemical, we are going to use plasma. Okay, so is uh, etching is done in plasma, not in a chemical. Okay, the second one is the gases that we use. So these gases are safe than chemicals. So chemicals, previously we are using the chemicals. So these chemicals are acidic in nature, that can have a corrosive nature, and handling of these chemicals are difficult. But in case of gases, it is safe and it is easy to handle. Okay, so there are some uh, advantages of this dry etching basically. And then we will see the setup that is basically used for this dry etching. So the setup that is used is, two electrodes are used in a chamber. 2 electrodes will be used. This chamber will be made up of quartz. Okay, and it will be having low pressure inside it. So this will be your plates. So here, this is we are having are there. In that, if 2 electrodes are there, it is such that the number of ions and number of electrons, that is the plasma will be inside this chamber, and the electrons are lower weight, so it will move towards the surface. The electrons will be moving electrons will move towards the surface. It is lighter and it will be having higher energy, but uh, the positive ions that are heavier, that will stay in the middle of this plate. Okay, so the accumulation of these ions is basically called sheath. Okay, so this is considered as the sheath, and these electrons are having electrons are lighter. Electrons are lighter in weight than ions, so it will be having higher energy. So this is the accumulation of ions that is considered as sheath. This accumulation is called sheath. Okay, so ion accumulation will be as it is heavier. As it is heavier, so it will be accumulated in between the plates. Okay, so suppose inside that, suppose if any insulating material, if we are introducing any insulating material inside this plate, okay, if we are introducing material inside this plasma, then the plasma is going to uh, acquire. So suppose insulating layer is introduced inside this chamber. Insulating material into chamber. Then this material, the insulating material, will acquire a potential. Then insulating material will acquire potential. That potential will be a negative potential. Okay, why it will be a negative potential? Because the surface is negatively charged. So as the surface is negatively charged. As the surface is requiring a potential, that negative potential is called floating potential. Potential acquired by uh, this material, insulating material, that will be considered uh, floating potential. Okay. If suppose we are applying some potential to some voltage to this chamber, if we are applying some voltage to this chamber through these terminals, okay, so it is basically the voltage that we apply is basically of two different nature, that is one will be positive and another will be negative, because basic setup the basic setup of this is governed by this, like it will be a rectangular type, and here an anode will be there, and here cathode will be there. So this anode is always connected to ground. So this is anode and this is cathode. Okay, and this cathode is supplied with an RF energy. So RF energy will be supplied to this cathode. This LC circuit is called matching network. Okay. This is RF powered plate and this is ground connected plate. So this is the basic setup. In that, if we are providing the RF supply, RF power we are supplying, then the cycle it will be like connected to the terminal, uh, or this plate will be positively connected. In the next cycle, it will be basically connected to a negative terminal. Okay, so if it is connected to uh, positive terminal, the first suppose this first plate is connected to, so suppose here we are connecting here negative and this one is positive. If this is negative, then here it is negative, so it will be uh, negatively connected. That means here the electrons that will be there, that will be repelled, and these are connected to the positive terminal. This positively ions will be attracted here. Okay, so this electrons will be repelled from here, and positively charged ions will be attracted. Okay, so in that case, once it is going to attract these two, there will be a high voltage development will be there. Okay, in case of the negative half. Okay, and in the positive half, it will be repelling these two. So it is positive and this is positive, it will be repelling. So some potential will be developed here. So basically, based on the potential of the plates, we are basically going to define the ion energy. So basically here, when this is negative, this will be attracted towards it. But in case of this is positive, it will be repelling. So if it is repelling, it will be of high energy electrons, will high energy ions will be there. Okay. So here, in the first case, it will be reacting like a diode. it will be reacting like diode. This complete setup will be reacting like diode. But in the second half, once it is repelling, it will be like one seat will be a negative charge, another one is positive charge, and it will be having a parallel plate capacitor type. So it will be behaving like a capacitor. So this will behave like a diode. One time it will be behaving like a diode, and another case it will be behaving like a capacitor. Okay, so this is the complete you can say external you can say equivalent circuit that we can implement. So for two different setups, this is the setup that will be equivalent to the this dry etching setup. So basically, what the total motive that we are going to study here is basically the ion beam energy. So basically, when we are supplying this RF power to this chamber, basically we are going to deal with the ions energy. So how the ions energy we are going to improve, or how we can improve the ion energy, basically increase the ion energy, that will be basically going to define the etching process. So here in the dry etching, we are going to use high energy ions to physically remove the selected regions of the semiconductor surface. So here we are basically going to remove the material or layer by using physical energy. Okay, by providing high energy to ions, that ions will be hitting to the surface, and that surface will be removed from the uh, particular location. So this is the overall process that uh, is governing basically the dry etching. Okay, so here, so this ion beam energy, or we can call it ion bombardment energy, that defines the uh, dry etching basically. So there is a curve that will define this is this curve defines like if this is the point, this is the point where the anode voltage is there. So this is anode terminal. So this is anode voltage. So anode voltage is always connected to ground, so it will be a zero. It will be a zero. So anode voltage will be zero. Okay. So there will be another voltage, that is cathode voltage, and one voltage will be the positive terminal voltage. So this positive terminal voltage, or we can call it the seat voltage. So voltage at this will be your VP. Okay. Okay. So this VP will be positive voltage, and the cathode voltage will be a negative voltage. Okay. So here, and floating voltage, we have considered the floating voltage in case when we are introducing an insulating type of material inside the quartz crystal or chamber, that material will acquire a negative but uh, potential. So that negative potential is defined by this floating voltage just below the zero level. So zero level there will be a floating voltage, and the positive ions are there. These positive ions will have uh, the potential that is higher. So it will be having a higher potential. So this will be defining your positive potential. And with respect to that, when we will be applying a cathode with a negative cathode, this will define the VC, that is cathode voltage. Okay. So here we will see what is the effect of these voltages on ion bombardment energy. So basically, this ion bombardment energy is going to define the dry etching. Okay. So in the first case, suppose if in the first case uh, Vp minus Va So difference between Vp minus Va, what is the potential difference between these two will be like Vp minus Va is similar to 20 to you can say 10 to 20 voltage there. Okay, and it means if 10 to 20 volt only is the difference, it will be having less ion bombardment energy. It will be having less ion bombardment energy. So here, this is the case when substrate or semiconductor surface or semiconductor substrate is placed at anode surface. So at the anode surface, we have placed the substrate. Then this will be the case. In the second case, suppose we are placing the substrate at the insulating plate. So we are placing substrate at insulating plate. So we are using an insulating plate on which we are placing the substrate. So that in that case, the energy will be this downward. So here the Vp minus Vf we will find out. So that will be similar to Vp minus Va only. There will not be that much of difference. Uh, very less difference will be there. So here also less ion bombardment energy will be there. But in case when we are going to place the substrate on the cathode, in that case Vp minus Vc that we will be having, that will be very high, and we will be obtaining high ion bombardment energy. Okay, so this high bombardment energy will define like how the dry etching is going to be performed. So dry etching will be performed with the help of high bombardment energy. So once we need to obtain high bombardment energy, we have to put the substrate on the cathode side. Okay. Also, there are some methods to increase ion bombardment energy. So we will see that. So there are some methods that through which we can increase the ion bombardment energy. Uh, the first one is making your cathode plate. If we are making the cathode plate is small compared to the anode plate, then we can have this ion. We can increase the ion bombardment energy, or by using by lowering the pressure inside the chamber, we can increase the ion bombardment energy, or by lowering the frequency of RF operation, we can increase the ion bombardment energy. So why we are basically focusing on ion bombardment energy? Because this ion bombardment energy is the cause that will basically do the that will basically produce an anisotropic nature of etching. So to obtain uh, an isotropic nature of etching, ion bombardment energy should be high. Okay, so that's why we are basically focusing on ion bombardment energy. So to have an isotropic nature of etching, we will be requiring high ion bombardment energy. Okay, so till now we have seen the basics of dry etching. In the next class, we will deal with the different type of dry etching and also some parameters that will be affecting.